All right, so we're diving deep into ghostwriting today. Look like you've been doing some research.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Awesome. And it looks like you've got a really great mix of stuff here. You've
Uh,
got this practical guide to actually starting a ghostwriting business, right?
Yeah.
And then, we've also got some pretty in-depth articles and excerpts about how AI is changing the game for writers in general.
Right.
And by the end of this deep dive, I think you're really going to have a solid grasp of, not only what it takes to be successful as a ghostwriter,
Uh-huh.
but also like, how you can use AI to kind of like be your secret weapon.
Cool.
So I think a good place to start is like, what even is ghostwriting?
Right.
I mean, for anyone who's not familiar, it's kind of like being the wizard behind the curtain, or
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it.
you're like crafting these amazing words and ideas,
Hmm.
but then like someone else gets to step into the spotlight.
Yeah, you're like the architect that designs this beautiful skyscraper,
Right.
but then someone else's name is on the plaque out front.
Exactly.
You're behind the scenes, but you're the one who made it all happen.
And with the explosion of online content, I mean, it seems like the demand for skilled ghostwriters has just like gone through the roof, right?
It really has.
You know, businesses, influencers, even just regular folks trying to like build a following online. It seems like everyone needs help creating engaging content these days.
Yeah, and not everyone has the time or the skills to do that.
Right. And it's funny, when I first started thinking about ghostwriting, I kind of had this narrow view of it.
Oh, yeah.
Like I thought it was mostly just, writing blog posts or website copy.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people think.
But then when I started reading through all this research, I
Eh.
realized, wow, it's so much bigger than I thought.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you could be writing books, you could be writing speeches.
Right.
I mean, even scripts for videos, social media posts.
It's really become its own universe.
It's a whole universe of writing, and it's all happening behind the scenes.
And the best part is, there's so much variety in the work. You could be working on something completely different every day.
That's what I love about it. Like one day you could be writing a white paper for like a super serious business.
Right.
And then the next day you could be working on like a memoir or a children's book or something totally different.
You're constantly learning and challenging yourself.
Right. So, we talked about what ghostwriting is, but like, why is it such a hot thing right now? Why is there this huge boom in demand?
Well, I think a big part of it is just the sheer volume of content that's being created online.
It's overwhelming, right?
It is. Everyone needs a blog. They need a social media presence. They need engaging website copy.
At the price of admission these days, right?
Exactly.
If you want to be seen and heard online,
Great.
you got to have like a constant stream of fresh content.
And that's where ghostwriters come in. A lot of people just don't have the time or the bandwidth to create all of that content themselves.
Yeah, it's like, trying to be a chef and a waiter and a dishwasher all at the same time.
Right.
At some point, you need to bring in specialists to handle certain tasks.
Exactly.
And, let's not forget about the whole SEO thing.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
I mean, you could have the most amazing content in the world,
Hmm.
but if it's not optimized for search engines, it's basically invisible.
It might as well not exist.
And that's where ghostwriters who really understand SEO can be so valuable, right?
Definitely.
They know how to use keywords, they know how to structure the content, and they can make sure that your writing is actually seen by the people you want to reach.
It's not just about writing beautiful prose anymore.
Right. You got to know how to play the game.
You got to know the technical side of things, too.
Okay, so we've talked about what ghostwriting is, why it's booming.
Hmm.
But now let's talk money.
All right, let's get down to brass tacks.
Because, I mean, that's what everyone wants to know, right?
Yeah.
How much can you actually make
Yeah.
as a ghostwriter?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. And from the research that I've done, it seems like the earning potential can be, pretty impressive.
It can be.
But it's not like a get-rich-quick scheme.
No, definitely not.
It takes work, it takes dedication, and it takes, like, a strategic approach.
And knowing how to price your services.
Yes. Pricing is so important, especially when you're starting out.
I see a lot of new ghostwriters make the mistake of undervaluing their work.
Right. Because you want to be competitive,
You do.
but you also don't want to, like, sell yourself short.
Exactly. You've got to find that sweet spot.
So, from what I've read, there are a few different pricing models that ghostwriters use, right?
Yeah.
There's per word, there's per project, there's hourly rates, even retainer contracts.
Yeah, it can get a little confusing.
It's a lot to wrap your head around, so let's break it down a little bit. What are the pros and cons of each model?
Okay, so let's start with per word pricing.
Yeah.
This is pretty common, especially for shorter pieces like articles or blog posts.
Okay. And rates can vary wildly, from a few cents to $1 or more per word, depending on your experience and the complexity of the topic.
Yeah, it makes sense that you wouldn't charge the same rate for like a 500-word blog post about gardening tips
Right.
as you would for like a 2,000-word technical white paper, right?
Exactly. And then there's per-project pricing, which works well for longer-form content, like ebooks or website copy. This gives you more control over your earnings and can be more profitable overall.
Okay, so per project is kind of like, you estimate how much time and effort the whole project is going to take.
Right.
And then you give the client like a flat fee.
Exactly.
And have you noticed any patterns in terms of which pricing models work best in different niches?
Yeah, definitely. For highly specialized niches like finance or technology, where the content needs to be super accurate and in-depth,
Mm-hmm.
you'll often see higher rates and a preference for per-project pricing.
Makes sense. The clients in those fields are willing to pay a premium for, like, real expertise.
Whereas in lifestyle niches, where the focus might be more on personality and like relatability,
Yeah.
per-word pricing is more common.
Right, because the projects tend to be shorter and less technical.
So, it's really about understanding your niche, your target client, and what they value,
Mm-hmm.
and then pricing your services accordingly.
Exactly. You've got to know your worth.
But, even if you have the perfect pricing strategy in place,
Yeah.
there's still the challenge of actually finding clients.
That's often the hardest part, especially when you're first starting out.
Because, like, where do you even begin to look for ghostwriting gigs?
Right. Well, there are a lot more avenues than ever before.
Okay.
Freelance platforms like Upwork and Fiverr are a good starting point. They're like giant marketplaces where you can connect with potential clients from all over the world.
Yeah, but I've also heard that those platforms can be super competitive, right?
Well, they are.
So, like, how do you stand out from the crowd?
Well, it's all about showcasing your unique skills and building a strong profile. Highlight your niche expertise, craft a compelling bio,
Okay.
and make sure you have a portfolio of high-quality samples.
So those platforms are one option. But what about those of us who are a little, more old school? What about, like, good old-fashioned networking? Is that still relevant in the digital age?
Absolutely. I think networking is more important than ever.
Okay, good.
Joining relevant LinkedIn groups, attending industry events, even just connecting with people in your local community can lead to opportunities.
So it's all about, like, building relationships, right?
It is.
And letting people know what you do.
Yeah, because you never know where your next client might come from.
Okay, so we've got freelance platforms, networking. What about cold outreach? Is that still a viable strategy?
It can be, especially if you're targeting specific clients or niches.
Okay.
The key is to make your pitch personalized and relevant.
Right. Don't just send out, like, generic spammy emails, right?
Exactly. Nobody wants to feel like they're just another name on your list.
You gotta, like, do your research.
Yeah.
Right. Understand what the potential client's needs are,
Uh-huh.
and then tailor your message to those specific needs.
Right. You want to make them feel seen and heard.
Okay, so, we can't talk about finding clients in the digital age without talking about social media, right?
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
It's so important for freelancers, especially ghostwriters, to build a strong online presence.
It is.
But it's also, like, a little overwhelming, right?
It can be.
Because there's so many platforms out there.
Mhm.
So how do you know where to focus your efforts?
Well, it really depends on your niche and target audience.
Okay.
For example, if you're writing for business clients, LinkedIn is a must.
Okay.
But if you're writing for lifestyle or creative brands, Instagram or Twitter might be more effective.
So, it's not just about being on social media. It's about, like, being strategic
Right.
and using it as a tool to connect with the right people.
And build your brand.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. How to find clients, how to price your services.
Yeah.
But there's one more thing I want to touch on before we move on.
Okay.
And that's the idea of niching down.
Ah, yes, the niche.
I keep hearing that it's so important for success as a ghostwriter, but I'm not entirely sure what that means in practice.
Well, it's basically about specializing in a particular area of expertise.
Okay.
Instead of trying to be a jack of all trades, you focus on becoming the go-to expert for a specific type of content.
So, for example, instead of just saying, I'm a ghostwriter,
Right.
you might say, I specialize in writing white papers for the tech industry.
Exactly.
Or I'm a ghostwriter for health and wellness bloggers.
Exactly.
So, you're basically carving out a little corner of the market for yourself.
You are, and there are a few key reasons why that's so beneficial.
Okay, tell me more.
First, it helps you stand out from the crowd. There are tons of talented ghostwriters out there, but if you can position yourself as the expert in a particular niche, you'll be more attractive to clients looking for that specific type of content.
Yeah, it's like being a specialist doctor instead of a general practitioner.
Right.
People are willing to pay more for someone who has like deep knowledge and experience in a specific area.
Exactly. And niching down also allows you to really hone your skills and build a portfolio that showcases your expertise.
And from a practical standpoint, I imagine focusing on a niche makes it easier to market your services too, right?
Absolutely. You can target your efforts more effectively and attract the right clients.
So it's a win-win situation.
It is.
But, you know, niching down sounds great in theory,
Yeah.
but how do you actually choose a niche?
Well, it's a combination of passion and research. First,
Okay.
think about what you genuinely enjoy writing about.
Okay.
What are you naturally good at?
So, like, if you're a total tech geek and you love reading about the latest gadgets and, like, all the new apps and stuff, maybe that's your niche.
It could.
Or if you're, like, a fitness fanatic who's always, like, reading about the latest health trends and, like, trying out new workouts.
Right.
Maybe you specialize in writing for the wellness industry.
Exactly. But passion alone isn't enough.
Right.
You also need to make sure there's actually a demand for your chosen niche.
Okay, so how do you figure that out?
Well, there are a few things you can do. You can look at freelance platforms and see what types of projects are being posted.
Okay.
You can use keyword research tools to see what people are searching for online.
That's smart.
You can even just browse industry publications and blogs to see what topics are being covered.
So it's like being a detective,
It is.
looking for clues and opportunities.
Exactly. You've got to find those gaps in the market where there's a need for specialized content, but not a lot of competition.
Okay, this is all starting to make sense. So we've talked about what ghostwriting is, why it's booming,
Yeah.
how to find clients, how to price your services, how to niche down.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one big elephant in the room that we haven't really addressed yet,
Okay, I think I know where you're going with this.
AI. It's the buzzword on everyone's lips these days.
It is.
And it's definitely changing the game for writers in ways that I think we're only just beginning to understand.
Yeah, it's moving fast.
So let's get real here. Can robots really write?
That's the question, isn't it?
It is. And if they can, what does that mean for the future of ghostwriting? Are human ghostwriters even going to be necessary anymore?
Those are the million-dollar questions.
They are.
And the answers are complicated.
Okay, well, let's try to unpack them a little bit.
All right, let's do it.
From what I've been reading, it seems like AI is rapidly evolving.
It is.
And the capabilities of these tools are, like, becoming increasingly impressive.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-blowing what they can do now.
But, like, I still have so many questions.
I understand.
So I guess, like, the first question is, are these AI tools, a threat to human ghostwriters? Or are they actually an asset?
Well, I think it's a bit of both.
Okay, help me understand that.
AI is not here to replace human writers.
Okay.
It's here to augment our abilities and open up new possibilities.
Okay, I'm willing to keep an open mind here. Convince me. How can ghostwriters specifically benefit from using AI?
Well, for starters, AI can really help with efficiency.
Okay.
Imagine being able to research a complex topic in, like, a fraction of the time it would normally take.
Yeah, that would be amazing, especially for those of us who, like, get bogged down in research and, just kind of get lost in the weeds.
Right.
Because, like, I love research, but it can also be a real time suck.
It can, and that's where AI tools can really help. They can analyze huge amounts of data in seconds.
So, like, instead of spending days or even the weeks reading through articles and reports,
Right.
you could just, like, feed the information into an AI tool,
Yeah.
and it'll, like, spit out a summary of the key points.
Exactly. It's like having a super-powered research assistant.
That's wild. And then what else?
Well, AI can also help with structuring your content.
Okay, tell me more.
Let's say you're writing a blog post. You can actually feed your research into a tool and ask it to generate a detailed outline.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah,
Like the AI can come up with the headings, the subheadings, the bullet points?
you can. It's like having a virtual brainstorming partner.
Wow, that's amazing.
Hmm.
And is there anything else?
Oh yeah, there's a lot more.
Okay.
For example, let's say you're writing for a client with a very specific voice and style. You can actually train AI tools on samples of their previous writing.
Hold on. You're telling me that the AI can learn to write like my client?
It can. It's not perfect, of course,
Right.
but it can get surprisingly close. You feed it enough data, And it picks up on the nuances of their writing style.
So it's like I could have a mini-me of my client
Exactly.
ready to crank out content in their signature style.
Pretty much.
Wow. This is amazing. But, like, also a little bit terrifying, you know?
I get it.
Because if AI can do all this, I mean,
Yeah.
what does that mean for a human ghostwriter?
Right. It's a valid question.
Are we all just going to be replaced by robots?
I don't think so.
Okay, good.
I think human ghostwriters will always be in demand.
Why do you say that?
Well, AI is great at certain things, like mimicking, summarizing, organizing information.
Right.
But it still struggles with things like originality, empathy, emotional intelligence.
Okay, so, like, it can spit out facts and figures, but it can't really capture the human heart of a story.
Exactly. It can't replicate the creativity, the nuance, the emotional depth that a human writer brings to the table.
Right, because, a lot of the projects that ghostwriters work on,
Yeah.
they're not just about conveying information.
Right.
They're about telling stories, connecting with readers on an emotional level.
And that's something that AI just can't do yet.
It's the difference between writing a report and writing a story.
Exactly. One informs, the other moves and inspires.
And, let's not forget about the strategic side of ghostwriting.
Oh, yeah, that's crucial.
The clients often hire ghostwriters not just for their writing skills, but also for their ability to, develop content strategies, identify their target audience,
Yeah.
craft messages that really resonate.
Those are all skills that require human intelligence, creativity, and understanding of psychology.
So, it seems like the role of a ghostwriter is evolving.
It is.
It's becoming less about being just a wordsmith
Mm-hmm.
and more about being a strategic partner, a creative consultant.
Right, someone who can guide their clients through the complexities of content creation.
Okay, so it's not all doom and gloom for human ghostwriters.
Definitely not.
It's actually kind of an exciting time to be in this field
It is.
because the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
As long as we're willing to embrace these new technologies and figure out how to use them to our advantage.
Exactly. The future of ghostwriting is about collaboration, not competition.
I love that.
It's about finding ways to leverage the power of AI while also honing those uniquely human skills that will always be in demand.
That's such a hopeful and empowering message.
I hope so.
It's not about, fearing the rise of the machines.
Mm-hmm.
It's about embracing the possibilities they offer
Yeah,
and finding ways to work together to create something truly remarkable.
that's what it's all about.
All right, well, on that note,
Yeah. So, we talk a lot about AI in the last part.
yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing stuff.
It is. But before we get too carried away with all the tech stuff,
Right.
I think it's important to kind of circle back and talk about the human side of ghostwriting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Specifically, the ethical considerations.
Right, because you are essentially writing in someone else's voice.
You are.
You're telling their stories, you're sharing their ideas.
Mm-hmm.
That comes with a certain level of responsibility.
Oh, absolutely. Ethical considerations are paramount in ghostwriting.
Totally.
And I think, one of the most crucial aspects is confidentiality.
Right.
You're often privy to very sensitive information.
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing with people's, personal stories,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even trade secrets. So, maintaining discretion is essential.
Absolutely. It's like being a vault for words instead of money.
Haha, yeah, I like that.
You're entrusted with something incredibly valuable.
Yeah, and it's not just valuable, it's
Yeah.
personal,
Yeah.
People are putting their reputations in your hand.
Absolutely. And that's why having clear contracts in place is so important.
Contracts, yeah.
Both the ghostwriter and the client need to be crystal clear on the terms of the agreement.
Okay, so what kinds of things should be included in a ghostwriting contract?
Well, definitely confidentiality,
Okay.
but also things like, credit,
Right.
ownership of the work.
Ownership.
Who gets to say they wrote it, who owns the copyright.
Right, because that must be a tricky issue for ghostwriters.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're pouring your heart and soul into this project,
Yeah.
but then someone else gets to take all the credit.
It's definitely something ghostwriters grapple with.
Yeah.
For some, the anonymity is part of the appeal. Yeah, they enjoy being behind the scenes, the silent architects of these powerful words.
That's interesting. So, they actually prefer to not have their name attached to the work?
They do, yeah.
Okay, I guess I could see that.
But for others, it can be a little more challenging.
Yeah, I can imagine.
They might, crave recognition, or they might feel a sense of ownership over the work that they've created.
Right, and it's their work.
It is, yeah.
I mean, they're the ones who put in the time and the effort and the creativity.
Right. So it really comes down to, finding what feels right for you as a writer.
Right?
Some people are perfectly comfortable with the idea of, writing in the shadows,
Yeah.
while others might need to find ways to balance ghostwriting with projects where they can have their name on the byline.
So it's all about finding that balance, right?
Oh, yeah.
Between the work that you do for others and the work that you do for yourself.
Exactly. And, it's important to remember that even though your name might not be on the finished product, right?
The value that you bring as a ghostwriter is immense.
Oh, absolutely.
You're helping people share their stories, build their brands, connect with their audiences.
It's a powerful thing.
It really is.
You're kind of like the wind beneath their wings,
I like that, yeah.
They're helping them soar.
You're making their dreams take flight.
Okay, so we've talked about confidentiality and credit. But
Mhm.
what about copyright?
Oh, yes, copyright.
Like, who actually owns the rights to the work that a ghostwriter creates?
Well, in most cases, the client owns the copyright
Okay.
because they are the one commissioning and paying for the work.
Right. That makes sense.
But again, it's crucial to have this spelled out in the contract
The contract, yeah.
so that everyone is clear on the terms of ownership, usage rights, and any potential royalties or future payments.
Okay, so it's kind of like buying a house.
How so?
Well, you pay for the house, you get the deed,
Yeah.
and you have the right to do what you want with it, right?
Okay, yeah, I see the analogy.
Oh.
But in this case, it's words instead of bricks and mortar.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so, speaking of words, I think it's important to talk about plagiarism.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
This is a huge ethical consideration in any kind of writing, but especially in ghostwriting,
Absolutely.
because clients are relying on you to produce original content.
They are.
And, any hint of plagiarism can really damage their reputation,
And yours.
right? It's like the kiss of death for a ghostwriter, right?
Very much.
So what are some, best practices for making sure that your work is always 100% original?
Well, first and foremost, always cite your sources properly.
So if you're using any information or quotes from other sources, you got to give credit where credit is due.
Exactly. And of course, never, ever copy and paste content from other websites or publications.
Right. Yeah. That seems like common sense.
It should be, but you'd be surprised how often it happens.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes it's intentional, but often it's just, carelessness or a lack of understanding about what constitutes plagiarism.
Right. And I'm sure it's tempting sometimes, especially when you're under a tight deadline and you're feeling pressured,
It can be, yeah.
but it's just not worth the risk.
It's not.
So what else?
Well, I think using plagiarism detection software is a must these days.
Okay.
There are some really great tools out there that can scan your work and flag any potential issues.
So it's like having a digital guardian angel watching over your work,
Ah, exactly.
making sure you stay on the straight and narrow path of ethical writing.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay, so we've talked about the big ethical considerations,
Mhm.
confidentiality, credit, copyright, plagiarism.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to know, what's it really like to be a ghostwriter?
Ah, the million-dollar question.
Yes. What are the day-to-day realities of this hidden profession?
Well, it's a lot less glamorous than some people might imagine.
Okay, so no red carpets or paparazzi.
Haha, definitely not. It's a lot of solitary work, hunched over your computer, immersed in research and writing.
But isn't that part of the appeal for a lot of writers?
It is, yeah.
That quiet time, lost in a world of words, crafting something meaningful.
Exactly. It's a job for introverts who love to delve into different worlds, explore new ideas, and tell compelling stories.
Even if their name isn't on the byline.
Even if their name isn't on the byline, yeah.
But it's not all solitary confinement, is it?
No, not at all.
There must be some interaction with clients, right?
Oh, of course. Communication is key in ghostwriting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You need to have regular check-ins with your clients to discuss their needs, gather feedback on drafts,
Right.
make sure that the project is on track.
So, strong communication skills are just as important as writing skills in this field.
Absolutely. And a good dose of empathy goes a long way, too.
Empathy.
Yeah, because remember, you're often working with clients who are, putting their trust in you
Right.
to represent their voice and their ideas authentically.
So it's you're stepping into their shoes,
It is, yeah.
but instead of walking in their footsteps,
Yeah,
you're writing in their voice.
I love that. Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
And speaking of voices, ghostwriters often work on such a wide range of projects,
You do.
each requiring a different, like, tone and style and level of expertise.
Absolutely.
So you might be, you know, writing a business blog post one day
Right.
and then a memoir chapter the next,
Yeah.
and then, like, website copy for a tech startup after that.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that makes ghostwriting so challenging and rewarding. You're
Yeah.
constantly learning new things, expanding your skill set,
Right.
adapting your voice to different audiences and purposes.
Like being a chameleon of words,
I love that analogy.
blending into different backgrounds,
Yeah.
expressing different perspectives.
Yeah, that's really what it feels like sometimes.
But in the midst of all that adapting and blending,
Yeah.
do ghostwriters ever get to, like, express their own creativity?
Absolutely. I mean, while the client's vision always comes first,
Right.
there's still plenty of room for creativity in ghostwriting.
Okay, so how does that work?
Well, it's about finding creative ways to tell their story,
Mm-hmm.
engage their audience, and achieve their goals.
So it's like you're a chef
Okay.
who's given a recipe,
Uh-huh.
but you still get to, like, add your own special blend of spices.
Exactly. To make the dish unique and flavorful.
Okay.
You're bringing your own creative flair to the table.
So, it's not just about following instructions blindly.
Right.
There's still an art to it.
There is, yeah.
All right. I'm starting to get a real feel for, like, what it's like to be a ghostwriter.
Good.
Solitary, yet collaborative. Challenging, yet rewarding. Anonymous, yet impactful.
I think you've summed it up perfectly.
It's a fascinating profession.
It is.
But, as we've been discussing, the landscape is changing.
It is, yeah.
The rise of AI is
Mhm.
bringing both, opportunities and challenges to this profession.
Right.
And I think it's time to really delve into that.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
We talked a little bit about AI writing tools earlier, but I want to explore how they're specifically impacting the world of ghostwriting.
Okay.
Are they a threat? Are they an asset? Or are they a little bit of both?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And the answer, like with most things in life, is nuanced.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So, AI writing tools are becoming increasingly sophisticated.
They are?
They're capable of generating, human quality content
Really?
in a variety of styles and formats.
Wow, that's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But does that mean that, like,
Yeah.
human ghostwriters are becoming obsolete?
Not necessarily, I think.
Okay.
I
You
think,
agree?
while AI can certainly handle some of the more basic writing tasks,
Okay, so, like, what? Give me an example.
like drafting blog posts or creating product descriptions.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
But I think it still lacks the human touch,
Right.
the emotional intelligence, the creative spark.
The je ne sais quoi.
Haha, exactly. The things that clients often seek in a ghostwriter.
So it's like you can have a machine make a sweater.
Okay.
It'll keep you warm, it'll be functional,
Mm,
but it doesn't have the same, like,
yeah.
warmth and character.
The soul.
Yeah, the soul.
Exactly. And it's that soul that clients are looking for. They
Mhm.
want someone who can connect with their audience on an emotional level, craft narratives that resonate, infuse their brand with personality.
And those are things that, you can't really program into a machine, right?
Exactly. AI hasn't quite mastered that yet.
It's the difference between, like, writing a report and crafting a story.
Right.
One informs, the other moves and inspires.
And that's where the human touch is irreplaceable.
I agree.
And, let's not forget about the strategic side of ghostwriting.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Clients often rely on ghostwriters for more than just writing.
Right.
They need help developing content strategies, identifying their target audience,
Right.
crafting messages that really resonate.
Yeah, those are all things that require critical thinking, creativity, and a deep understanding of human psychology.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it seems like the role of a ghostwriter is evolving.
It
It's becoming less about just being a wordsmith,
Yeah.
and more about being a strategic partner, a creative consultant.
Someone who can really guide their clients through the complexities of content creation in this digital age.
Exactly. And I think that's a really positive thing
It is.
because it means that, ghostwriting is becoming even more valuable
It is.
and even more in demand.
It's an exciting time to be in this field.
It's not about, fearing the rise of the machines. It's about embracing the possibilities they offer
Exact.
and finding ways to, like, work together
Mm-hmm.
to create something even better
I love that.
when we could have created on our own.
Collaboration is key.
Okay, so welcome back. We're on the final stretch of our ghostwriting deep dive.
Yeah, it's been a good one.
I know, right? We've covered so much ground already.
We have.
Like what ghostwriting is, why it's booming, the ethics, the money, the whole AI thing.
Right, it's a big world.
It is. But
Yeah.
before we officially wrap things up,
Yeah.
I really want to dig into some practical ways that ghostwriters can actually use AI.
Okay, sounds good.
Because it's all well and good to talk about the potential.
Right.
But how do we actually make these tools work for us?
Exactly. Let's get specific. I think one area where AI really shines is research.
Okay, research, yeah.
Imagine you're writing a white paper on like a really complex topic, like, I don't know, the future of renewable energy, for
Okay.
example.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Traditionally, you'd spend hours, maybe even days, poring over articles and reports and textbooks.
Ugh, yeah, it's so time consuming.
It is, and honestly, it can be pretty draining mentally.
Oh, tell me about it. Like I once spent a whole week just sifting through research for a client's ebook.
Wow.
By the time I actually sat down to write, I was like fried.
Yeah, I get it.
My brain was mush.
That's where AI can be a total game changer.
Okay, tell me how.
Tools like ChatGPT can analyze huge amounts of data in seconds. Yeah, they can pull out key facts, trends, even summarize like really complex concepts.
So instead of drowning in research for days,
Right.
I could just feed the information into an AI tool
Uh-huh.
and get like a nice, concise summary in a few minutes.
Exactly. It's like having a super-powered research assistant who can just do all the heavy lifting for you.
That's amazing. Okay, what else can these tools do?
Well, AI can also help with like structuring your content.
Okay, structuring, yeah.
Let's say you're writing a blog post, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can actually feed your research into a tool like Jackber
Okay.
and ask it to generate a detailed outline with headings, subheadings, bullet points, the whole 9 yards.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying that AI can, organize my thoughts for me?
Pretty much.
Because,
Got it.
I am the queen of scattered notes and messy brainstorming sessions.
I hear you.
To have a tool that could, impose some order on that chaos,
Right.
that would be a dream come true.
It's a writer's dream for sure. And here's another trick, right? Let's say you're ghostwriting for a client who has a very specific voice and style.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually train AI tools like Jasper on samples of their previous writing.
Wait, you're telling me that the AI can, learn to write like my client?
It can. It's not perfect, of course.
Right.
But if you feed it enough data, it can pick up on like the nuances of their tone, their vocabulary, even their sentence structure.
So it's like I could have a mini-me of my client,
Uh-huh. Pretty much.
ready to just crank out content in their signature style.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Okay, you have officially blown my mind.
Good. I'm glad.
But, this all raises a pretty big question.
Okay, what's that?
If AI can do all of this,
Mm-hmm.
are human ghostwriters even necessary anymore?
That's the question everyone's asking, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Are we all just going to be replaced by robots?
I don't think so.
Okay, why not?
Well, because AI is great at certain things,
Okay, like what?
like mimicking and summarizing and organizing information. But it still struggles with things like, originality and empathy and emotional intelligence.
Okay, so the heart stuff.
Exactly.
The stuff that makes writing really connect with people.
Right. Think about the types of projects that ghostwriters often work on. Memoirs, thought leadership pieces, even marketing content that needs to really resonate with readers.
Yeah.
These require a level of nuance and understanding that AI just hasn't quite mastered yet.
So it's like AI can write a report,
Mm-hmm.
but it can't write a story that truly moves you.
Exactly. And let's not forget about the strategic side of ghostwriting.
Oh, right, the strategy.
Clients often need help with developing content strategies, identifying their target audience,
Right.
crafting messages that really hit home. These
Yeah.
are all skills that require, human thinking, creativity, and understanding of psychology.
Okay, so it sounds like, the role of the ghostwriter is evolving.
It is.
It's becoming less about being just a wordsmith and more about being a strategic partner, a creative consultant,
Right.
someone who can guide their clients through all the complexities of content creation in this crazy digital age.
I think that's a great way to put it.
It's exciting though, right?
Oh, it is. I think it's a really positive development.
It means that, ghostwriting is becoming even more valuable
Right.
and even more in demand.
Absolutely.
It's not about being afraid of the robots.
Yeah.
It's about embracing the possibilities that they offer,
Mm-hmm.
and finding ways to work with them,
To collaborate.
to collaborate,
Yeah.
to create something even better than we could have created on our own.
Exactly.
For anyone listening who's like intrigued by the world of ghostwriting and thinking about taking the plunge,
Yeah.
just remember it's a field that rewards curiosity,
Absolutely.
adaptability, and a real passion for the power of words.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So keep learning, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep writing.
Right on.